Greetings and welcome to this episode of Everyday Enchantment. I'm your host, Stacey Andon, and today we're going to talk about being a messy human because we're all messy humans, right? However, we are so afraid of making a misstep or letting other people see us in kind of our imperfect ways or judging us or misunderstanding us or you name it, that we hold back. And when we hold back, it's really hard for you to share and be in the magic that is you, completely imperfect as a human, completely whole and amazing, right? In this kind of soul experience that we're having. And yet, I think part of what we're all here to experience is this self doubt, this questioning of being able to be who we are and being loved as as that person, as that, whatever you want to say, however you want to describe that. And so to me, let's talk about being messy. I'm going to give an example from a couple weeks ago. I was with somebody that I absolutely love and adore, and I said something. And I'm like, I don't even know why it came out of my mouth, just like a social flub kind of thing. And then I ruminated on it for like 3 days. Like, why did I say that? And, what was I thinking? Oh my gosh, this person probably doesn't like me anymore and they're judging me. Well, number one, here's the spoiler alert of the planet. Nobody's thinking about us. I'm not to say somebody might not be thinking about us in a moment, but I don't think anybody is spending any time. No, they're thinking about their own lives and going about their own things. So, this idea that when we are so focused, right, my nervous system gets so on high alert and says, danger, danger, danger. You've done something to isolate yourself from people you love. And it took me like a week after just beating myself up about saying this thing, which wasn't that big of a deal, but saying this thing and then just punishing myself like you're stupid and how could you say that? And again, you've ruined everything. Think about all the nasty, mean things that go on in our heads, right? All of that. And I want you to think about whose voice is that? Whose truth is that? Because our truth, who we really are, is not cruel and mean. We know this, right? And yet we think that by punishing ourselves and going down this whole kind of mean, like tongue lashing at ourselves, that somehow we're going to create some state of perfection and it's never going to happen again. Spoiler alert, I probably have already said something from a couple weeks ago. Today, yesterday, tomorrow, it's going to happen because, again, I am not in any state, and none of us are. I'm in a perpetual state of experimentation. That's what I think most of us are doing. And as one of my mentors says, being in creative response to a moment. That's a Martha Beck quote. And I really love the idea of, again, being in response to whatever it is that's coming through, whether it is like our own reaction to something. And what do you do in a moment? Because there are so many people on the planet, and I coach so many women around this idea of kind of ruffling feathers and having people, be disappointed and not like us and all of that. And I have to say that, at least for me, when I want somebody to like me, I feel like there's a little bit of manipulation there. And I don't mean that in like a malicious way. However, I want something from that person. And I'm expecting that whatever I do in terms of say or my behavior is going to get me that. And so there's a link there, right? If I do X, Y, and Z, I will get. Now, from my childhood, I was always trying to get my needs met. I was always trying to feel loved. And I didn't feel that. I didn't feel those things. However, I was always experimenting with what can I say or do? And if I can control my own self, right? And my own, like if I can be as perfect as possible, which I love now that they're talking about perfection as a state of trauma response, because to me, I can totally see that. It's like the more perfect I can be, the more lovable I will be. And so, can we break that? Because that's not the truth. It causes us endless suffering. And we kind of morph into these smaller versions of ourselves, or we try to be what other people want us to be. And we pay the cost. There's the cost right there to then not allowing ourselves to be fully embodied and be it, be whoever. I'm Stacey, you're whoever having this experience. And so when we do that, as we all know, right, then we stay in jobs longer, we stay in relationships longer, we choose things that we're like, oh, well, this will be okay, right? We just take off the risk of being and just putting ourselves completely out there. Now, again, if we're practicing this, I don't say go completely from one end of the the pool to the other, the deep end of this. However, what can you do to allow yourself? For me, it's just the practice of like letting myself freak out about whatever it is, offering myself love and compassion, recognizing what's underneath this, right? There's a moment where it's like, you're feeling like you're not going to be loved. Well, guess what? You won the love lottery because I'm going to love you no matter what. The thing we want from everybody else out there, the beautiful gift of that is we can give it to ourselves. Now, maybe it doesn't seem as glamorous. However, you are the you can count on. So when you rely on yourself, to do that, when you create awareness between whatever that is in your head, that voice, and then what the voice is in your heart, right? There can be conversation and dialogue there, and that can create a shift in the external world. I say, let's disappoint people. Let's go out and really just be in the discomfort of that. Because the more we do that, I believe the more we're on the path of authenticity. We're allowing ourselves grace and compassion and the ability, right? If we do take a misstep, to apologize and be vulnerable and surround ourselves with people who absolutely want to be in relationship with us like this. See, not everybody wants that, right? So there are lots of, again, fear-based energy out there. I try to gravitate toward love-based energy. That doesn't mean the fears don't ever come up. However, it means that we can navigate, right? If somebody's having a response, a reaction in a relationship, we can navigate it together. And that creates a lot more safety to be able to show, right, who you really are. I know for the longest time in relationships, I always overgave because I believe like that's why people like me and care about me and love me. Because that's what I did when I was young. The more I gave, the more I got rewarded with some attention, not just for being who I am. And so being who you are and letting the world misunderstand you, judge you, what have you, to me is one of our biggest journeys here. And it's not an easy path. However, the more you do it, like the other day, I don't know, something was happening and somebody didn't, wave to me and say hi. And I'm in my head with the whole story about it. And I was like, they might not like you, and that's okay. And I was like, all right, how much time and energy do I want to spend on this? Right. Because when we're going inward and calculating all of our flaws all the time, we're consuming energy that could be better used in other places. Like, I don't know, writing that book that you want to write, or asking that person out that you want to ask out, or, moving somewhere new, whatever those things are that are in your heart. We need the energy for them. We need to be able to clear some of this low frequency distraction that the world has taught us, like, you should care about this. And yeah, we're meant to be connected to other humans, but not at the expense of completely, and maybe not completely, but where it really gets vulnerable, compromising ourselves. So let me know how you've been messy lately. Like I said, usually mine comes out in an awkward situation and I say something, especially around people that I love and I respect and I adore. And then I think it's all going to end immediately. My worst case nervous system, brain, this is a huge problem. And again, what if none of this is actually a problem and it's all just intel for how we've been conditioned? We aren't the problem. The problem is how we've been taught to respond to situations, right? Make it about you. Make yourself, how can you be a different version of you so you can be more palatable to the world? Yeah, I did that for a really long time and yeah, no. Not happening. Not happening so much anymore. Again, practice. Daily commitment to, am I willing really to follow my heart when it leads me in places that, again, feel a little wobbly, because I might not, yeah, I might not, people might be like, what are you doing? And what have you. I've decided that I'm willing to be in that space because it's more important to me to choose myself than it is to conform in some made up. I mean, if we're all doing it, it's all this made up stuff that's not really serving any of us, right? All right. That's what I have today. Let me know. Be messy. Allow yourself to mess up. Be imperfect. And here's the piece of it: grace, compassion, a sense of humor. Are you going to care about this 5 months from now, 5 years from now? Probably not. So, allowing yourself to let it go with whatever means you can. Usually, I use my sense of humor. All right, beloveds, have an incredible day. I can't wait to see you on the next episode. Please drop me a comment. Come over to my Facebook group, Everyday Enchantment. Be part of this practical magic lifestyle that we are curating over there. And until next time, have a beautiful day. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for tuning in. Get all the delicious details and links we've mentioned in this episode in the show notes below. If you'd like to chat about this episode or learn more about how to work with me, come visit me in my private Facebook group, Everyday Enchantment, or check out my website, staceyandon.com, where you can find out more about my Leap of Faith coaching, my Map Makers group program, and the School of Intuitive Magic. Plus a special shout out for all the production and editing of this show by Richard Wilmore. That's it for now, love. Here's to living a life enchanted. See you soon.